So we got the suspension fixed and made it about 100 miles down the road and noticed a loud grinding noise coming out of the engine area. So my guess is the radiator fan bearings or clutch or something is going out. So looks like we'll be dealing with this today too. So, well, guess where I'm at again. I'm under the bus and my radiator fan is making a loud screeching noise, and well, I believe that I've already cleaned it off a little. That is a grease fitting, and hopefully I just need to grease the damn thing. I'm glad I found that. There's an AutoZone 15 minutes away. I'm gonna go get a grease gun, something I probably should have already had. I'm gonna go get the grease gun, get back, and just pump enough in there, and hopefully when I fire it up, all the noise will be gone. All right, got my grease gun. I just got me an all-purpose, it's a mini grease gun, but I'm gonna crawl underneath and see how things go. All right, so I'm back underneath here, and I'm gonna try and get it on there and see if I can't get some grease into that thing. I probably won't be able to hold this, but we're gonna see what happens. All right, fingers crossed. Ugh, maybe you can see it, but I got me a good blob of grease coming out of there. I think you can see it. There we go. All right, let's cross our fingers. Let's see what happens. Well, that did not fix the problem, so I'm in a mad rush to get to an RV park before this thing blows up on me. And I'm just gonna get it parked and start getting things taken apart. So we'll catch back up. So here I'm just kind of mentally preparing myself and discussing everything I've done to get this radiator ready for it to be pulled out on its hinge. Now, not every Eagle bus has a hinged radiator like this. Most of them are bolted into place. So I really consider myself very lucky in this instance, but I have greased the hinge up there, or the manifold hinge up with blaster, and let it set for an entire day. Now, these radiators are very heavy and they're filled with fluid, and I'm just taking all the precautions as I slowly pull it out, and it's getting hung up there on the top hinge of that lift door. So I'm having to shove it back in, and as you can see, even kick it back into place. But I'm just being very careful, and finally I get it to swing free. Now, my biggest concern here is I don't want the hoses to come loose on the back side of that manifold. And another thing is that sometimes the gaskets in those manifolds will go out and they will leak after you've moved the door. So, not a bad way to spend Super Bowl Sunday. Had some pulley wheels go out on me. So, and then I got to check the fluid in that miter box, and then I'll be able to spin this to make sure it's free. Now, I don't think there were any bearings in it, and that's because I actually found that grease fitting on the other side there. I can't really get to it from here, but this is fun. My bus has not had this door open in at least 10 years that I know of. So, and well, there you go. That's what it looks like. The radiator is still in really good condition. So I'm super excited about that. And the fan is solid. It's not jiggling. I mean, that's the miter box wiggling over there. But super pumped about this. And I'll let you be the judge of what it is. Here's the fan. Pretty quiet. All right, so down here to this pulley. I think that one's shot. And that one sounds like the one that was making all the noise. It was the one up top, and that's where I heard the majority of the noise. So I just gotta get some new bearings. And an AutoZone about 20 minutes up the street, and an O'Reilly. So if I can get these off of here, but they're a little bit of a pain because the bolt on the back side there is churning too. So, and you can see this one has been filed down. I almost cut my finger on it just a second ago spinning it, but it has been filed down super sharp, and I think it's because it's the one that is right next to the exhaust, and there's just not a lot of space. The way they did this rebuild, you can see they just kind of rough cut some metal and then welded it on there for these belts. And the pulley system, you can even see the edges on that. Just see how super choppy it was. And then my miter box is still super quiet, but I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this off of the top, and I want to keep it because I would like to put a compressor back up here for my driver's air only. But for now I got to get it off here, and then I got to figure out where the hydraulic fluid check is. Well, this is where I have to leave it. So until morning, it's dark out. All right, so it is the next morning here, and I've punched out the bearings on these pulley wheels. So my setup is probably not like a lot of other Eagle bus owners out there. Most of you guys probably have a hydraulic setup that has the drive shafts gear driven and everything. So this may not be useful, but if you do have it, you'll see what is there. But I just punched these out. What I did was just sat the pulley on top of my pair of pliers to get it started, and then just leaned it against my foot and finished using the screwdriver to knock the bearings out. So, and these are a little different. I don't know if anyone's gonna have these with those spacers on them like that, but we'll find out. There's a Napa about 10 minutes away. That one was definitely done. Look how grody that is in there. I don't know if you can see that. But definitely dried out, needed some lubrication. So I'll get those cleaned up. But I've got my bearings, and so it looks like I get to go drive around town and find them. That one's done. That one's done. So, bearings are shot. I'm just glad it wasn't the radiator fan. So I ended up putting about a half a cup of grease in that thing. It's spinning quite nicely. So, gonna go get these parts. So it looks like I'm going on a wild goose chase. Everybody has 10 minutes in every direction, but it comes from their warehouse. And I can get it today in a couple hours or tomorrow in the morning. So I'm just gonna put 150 miles on my Jeep today, driving around looking for 4 bearings. If I come across 8, I'm gonna buy them all. Well, that's one. So now it's off to LaGrange, Texas, from right around the Gonzales area. I think it's about a 50-minute drive or so. Luckily here on the highways everybody does about 90, so I'll just stay behind some of those guys for a while. But they said they have 5 on hand, so I'm just gonna buy them all. I know that will suck for the next person, but there's kind of a reason why people hoard Eagle parts, and I get it, although I don't 100% agree with it. But in this instance, like, if I had a fan clutch go out of my Eagle bus, I'd probably try to find two so that I could throw the other one in a time capsule somewhere. But anyways, we're gonna get these parts and then loop back. See the difference?
Yeah.
They don't, I have to turn them. So that's the big difference, is they should not spin freely. So here I'm just greasing the guide sleeve and spacer for the bearings in that pulley wheel. There's not an actual grease fitting for me to do this like on an annual basis, so hopefully this will hold up long enough for me or for the next person or whatever. But just doing what I need to do to help keep the parts working like they should. Okay, so I am going to start. I gotta get my pulleys back on right down there and the one right above. And I have put oil in this. It wasn't low, it was about halfway, but there's nothing wrong with adding more. But I'm gonna start by putting the belts on here first. That way I can still spin this, and then whenever I go to attach this one, I'll just be working around here instead of trying to wrestle the belts on through here to there. So it is an adjustable type of bracket, but I'm pretty sure those bolts are seized on there, and I'm not gonna pry on them to free them up. I'm just gonna use the teeth on that little gear to set the belts just like I did before. I remember that whenever I redid these belts in my previous video, the pulley wheels were they spun very freely, and that should have been a signal to me right away that they probably need to be replaced, because I did replace this one, and that should have been an instant, you're here doing this, you should go ahead and do that. And I didn't, and so now here I am. So I wasn't shortcutting, I wasn't paying attention. I was kind of like focused on one thing, and that was it. So but I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting these in here, and I'll try to get you a good angle. Okay, so I kind of lied. I did actually end up trying to get these bolts to free up so that I could use those little, the actual adjustable arms there to set the pulley wheels. I was only able to free one of them up, so I didn't want to break any bolts using an impact on them. So I just went ahead and left the other one set where it was, or put it back where it was, and got the pulley system put back together. This did make the installation a little more difficult. It just means I had to put the pulley bars in place and then put the belts where they went and then add the actual pulley wheels. So it did kind of make it a little more difficult, but nothing I can't handle. Oh, mother. Whew, I got a little excited on that one. So what happened while I was working on the bus is the belts, as I was putting them back on over here, I noticed one of them had split, and I don't know if it was just because I was being a little too aggressive when I was taking it off, or it was just old, because it was one of the belts that was originally left behind with all the back stock I had. We've driven 800 miles since I've gotten everything put back together, and all is well, everything's running just fine. So I'm here at our next location helping another Eagle Bus person out, and I'll also be doing some more work to our personal bus and building cabinets. If it's something you're interested in seeing, stick around.